Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to episode 5 of our IVF journey series. This is actually going to be a pretty short video, not gonna lie. I just wanted to give you an update on what has been going on for the last week and a half. If you do hear that, I'm assuming you just heard that beep in the background. That is just our smoke alarm in the hallway. The battery needs changing, so that is being done later on today. Let's ignore the beeping. So I wanted to give you an update on what's been going on for the last week and a half. So let's kind of summarise what happened in the last episode. So I had scans to make sure the first medication that I had been injecting every morning for a few weeks was working. The scan showed that my lining was thin and that my left ovary was quiet, which is what we wanted. We were shutting everything off, but my right ovary was not quiet yet. There was a flare-up of hormones and what looked like cysts. So we did a blood test and then I got the results the following day. Actually, my estrogen levels were low, which is what we wanted. So they were no longer concerned about the activity going on in my right ovary. So we were able to do what we had already planned, which was to reduce the dosage and then also start the second medication that I would be injecting daily in the evening. So I was then injecting twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Since filming the last video, I have actually been signed off work by my GP because the side effects from the first medication was just becoming challenging. So I got signed off by my GP just for the remaining 2 weeks that I would be taking medication, and that was last week, and then this is my last week. I will then return to work next Monday, which I think is the 16th of September. I'll be returning to work that week. I am not a fan of the second medication. It actually stings when pushing the liquid. So the needle isn't much of an issue for me, but pushing the actual liquid in, that actually stings. So I was having to stop, like pause, wait for the stinging sensation to stop and then carry on pushing. James was like, just push it all in, big sting, it'll be fine. But I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, not a fan of the second medication. So the second medication is to stimulate the follicles, make them bigger, and then the egg that is in each follicle will get maturer. Something along those lines. I had a scan on Wednesday, the 4th of September, an internal scan, and that was showing that the follicles were stimulated, the medication was working, the follicles were growing at a steady pace. Everything was progressing steadily. None of the follicles were trying to beat the other follicles. There was no race going on inside my tummy. Everything was just at a slow, steady pace, which was perfect. I then had another internal scan on Friday the 6th of September, so that was 2 days later, to then compare the two results. And it showed that the follicles were still continuing to grow. They were getting bigger, which was fantastic. We want them to get bigger so that they get to a point where we're ready for egg collection. We were not quite ready for egg collection. We had definitely got bigger follicles. I could see them on the screen when they were doing the internal scan. They were pretty big. They just looked like big black holes. They were pretty big, but there was just not enough big follicles. So I actually have another scan today, which is a few days later. It is Monday the 9th of September, and we're now hoping, fingers crossed, that the follicles are going to be big enough that I am ready for egg collection. The lady that did my internal scan on Wednesday was amazing. Honestly, what I needed. She showed me the screen and explained everything that I was seeing in a way that I would understand. She told me like step by step what she was doing, what was going on inside of me. She was explaining the next steps in like thorough detail, answered all my questions in detail, which is what I need. That's how my brain works. And then after, we went into a room and she showed me a graph which had numbers like 14, 17. I think it was the size of the follicles, so like 12 millimeters, 14 millimeters, 17, so on and so forth. And then I requested her for my Friday scan as well, and thankfully got her. And then I have requested her for today's scan too. So fingers crossed I get her, because I mean, she's involved now. She's seen it from like beginning. She might as well see it through to this one. But when it comes to the numbers, basically 14 millimeters is the size of the follicle, and in theory the egg in that follicle should be mature. There's no way to guarantee 100% that the egg that is in that follicle is definitely mature, but in theory that's how it works. So if your follicle is 14 millimeters or more, then the egg in that follicle should be mature. So they're not going to do egg collection whilst most of my follicles are still at like 12 millimeters. And that was what the case was on Wednesday. Some were nearly at the 14 mark, but most were kind of between the 12 and 14. And there was no way that we were going to be ready for egg collection at that point. But 17 millimeters is where it's like super duper good. That's brilliant. You can't get any better than that. So what they want is for you to have a few follicles that are at the 17 millimeter mark, that are at the extra dextra good mark. And then the majority of the follicles can just be at 14, 15, 16. So on Friday, I had moved to having most of my follicles were at the 14 millimeter mark. So I should have had quite a lot of mature eggs, but there was only one follicle that was nearly at 17, not even over the 17 mark yet. So we were still not ready. So what we're hoping for today is that I'm going to have a few follicles that are at the 17 millimeter mark, which is the extra dextra super duper good ones. And then we want the rest, like the majority of the rest, to be at like 14, 15, 16. But we're looking for having at least a few at the 17 millimeter mark. I feel like I've just completely waffled on, but I feel like I'm not that good at explaining. And then when I explain something, I feel like I haven't said it good enough, and then I'll say it again. But I probably just said it in the exact same way. Anyway, I'm going to go for my internal scan, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm keeping everything crossed that we are ready for egg collection. But I will let you know when I'm there, and I will let you know when I get out what is going on. I have just parked up at the fertility clinic. I'm actually half an hour early, but early is better than late, so I'm gonna go in now. Is that my left side?
So that's just your uterus in the middle, and then that's your right hand side. So that's your right ovary.
Wow.
And we can go back into the middle. And just track down the left. There it is.
The little black holes.
Oh, they look
Well, I say little, they're pretty big.
They're pretty sizable. And that's both of them.
Yay. So I am back from having my internal scan done at the fertility clinic, and good news, we are ready for egg collection. So I think there were like 4 or 5 follicles that were at 17 millimeters, and then the majority of the rest of them were at like 14 to 16 millimeters. The lady that did the scan was who I had requested, yes, and she straight away went to the doctor and asked if they want me to do the trigger injection tonight or tomorrow night. So that would mean egg collection is either Wednesday or Thursday. But the doctor couldn't decide at the time what they wanted. So I should get a phone call in the next like hour or two letting me know whether they want me to trigger tonight or trigger tomorrow night. But I will let you know. I'll keep you updated. So exciting. Yay. So I just had an email saying that there was a new document in the online portal from the fertility clinic. So I haven't had a phone call, but I read the document and it was confirming that they want us to do the trigger injection at 9:15 tonight, and then we will go in for our egg collection on Wednesday the 11th of September at 9:15 in the morning, but we have to be there half an hour early. But that is the update. So we're doing the trigger tonight, and then we're having our eggs collected in 2 days' time. This is crazy, so exciting. Right, I'm gonna leave this video here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.